told actually, I'm not, yeah, Michelle?
No,
Oh,
I'm the deputy commissioner.
okay. And your name is?
Michelle.
Michelle. I have a fraudulent birth certificate.
Uh-huh.
The attorney did a adoption. I paid for an adoption. I found out what he did is he legally changed her name through the courts. Supreme Court order.
Hang on a second. Okay. I just want to make sure I get it right, because it's just been a long day.
Yeah.
When you say you arrange an adoption, what do you mean by that?
I paid an attorney to do an adoption for me.
To do an adoption for you?
Well, in 2017 I was engaged to my now ex-wife.
Okay.
And she came to me and she said, I have an attorney who's friends with his wife and went to school. I was thinking we're getting married. If something was to happen to me, you've been raising her daughter, basically my stepdaughter Isabella, since she's 2.
Mm-hmm.
If something was to happen to me, you would have no legal rights to her, and she would probably go to my mother or my sister, which either one of them would want to raise her daughter. I was thinking about doing an adoption. I started to talk to this attorney, and I said, okay, I'll sit down. Come to find out, I knew the attorney from elementary school.
Yeah.
So we used him. Fast forward to 2022.
Okay. In 2017, though, it's her daughter.
Correct.
And you were together.
Engaged.
Yeah, and you're like, you know what? I want to adopt. Like, which is sweet. Like, so I want to adopt her. So she's like mine.
Right, I've been raising her since she's 2, so
Yeah.
I'm going to adopt her.
Yeah. Okay.
So give me
That just helps.
$5,000. No, it's a long story, so if you have to stop me and do the chalkboard, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. It's fine. Because there's a lot of loops.
Right, and then so you go through the attorney, and the attorney does something else weird to whatever the adoption was.
And I just found out about this in 2022 because all I know is I went and signed papers that he told me to sign. Mm-hmm. Some of them actually, which I questioned. Mm-hmm. Because I said it says biological, I'll get into that after before we get off track. I don't want to put like a rose from the Golden Girls because I do that.
You did know it's fine.
And so he said, I signed the paperwork. Me and my ex, we went into his office. We signed the paperwork. He texted me everything's good. You'll get the birth certificate in the mail in about 6 months. Mm-hmm. So 6 months later, we get the birth certificate. She'll start using my last name.
Okay.
Fast forward to 2022, going through a divorce and custody and all that, and I get a petition stating to vacate acknowledgement of paternity, which I was completely confused. And then when I pulled the file,
Right.
In my ex's statement, it said that she was forced to sign this acknowledgement of paternity.
By
The attorney.
Okay.
She states the attorney is my friend, and we forced her to do it. She never met him before.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, in there, there's a Supreme Court, I found out, order to change name, and concurrently running with that is a family court petition to change her name, which wasn't involved in those parts. I just went, handed money, and signed what I was supposed to sign, and got the birth certificate. Silly me, I trusted the attorney.
Right.
Well, the attorney that was working for me, I found out was not in fact working for me. He was working for the attorney that did the adoption.
Okay.
Quote adoption, because it's fraudulent, I just found out. So he took the acknowledgement of paternity he had to sign the night of the adoption. Mm-hmm. He signed his ex-law firm partner's name to it, printed and signed his name, and then had his paralegal sign a fictitious name. Took those 2 documents and produced a birth certificate. There was no adoption at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Social Security Administration reached out to me because I was reported because I was on disability, Social Security disability for my heart. They reached out to me because apparently Mom also reported to the courts that I was collecting benefits for her under a fraudulent, not being my daughter, basically, which she was registered under my disability benefits as a Mantero because I didn't have her birth certificate yet as my stepdaughter, so I didn't do anything fraudulent.
Right.
And during this process, they questioned me. I gave them all the evidence that I've uncovered, and the Office of the Inspector General's. But I was told by everybody on a federal level that I reported to report on a state level. And every time I've reported it, they're just trying to vacate the acknowledgement of paternity again. And I said, number 1, I'm not vacating my daughter. Number 2, I'm not vacating the evidence that he fraudulently signed. I'm not stupid. I may look like this, but I'm a very smart man.
Right. No, I get it.
And I said, he's threatened me. This attorney has threatened me to go to the sheriff's His partner is his brother is a sergeant in the sheriff's. I was told, go ahead, I dare you. I did, almost a year ago now, and they've done nothing. I reported it to family court, and I haven't seen my daughter Isabella in a year because I reported it. And I also uploaded all the evidence, all the docket numbers, labeled it with evidence into the electronic document delivery system, DBS. So that being said, I reported it to other areas I'm supposed to that are confidential that in the courts.
Yeah, it's good. So relative to Vital, though, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for someone to look into the fraudulent birth certificate, because here's the problem, and this was told to me by we have a birth certificate that says Urbano, and we have a social security number that says Mantero. And the Social Security Administration does not recognize the birth certificate that was done in Onondaga County because it was reported as fraudulent, and now the evidence was given to them that I've uncovered, and now they've confirmed that it's fraudulent. But to my understanding, it's not supposed to report on the state level, and I've done that just about every floor in this building.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Do me a favor, though. If that's the documents you want us to have, is that your only copy?
No, I have copies.
Okay. Do you want to give them to me, and I'm going to bring them to the law department.
Is it at 7?
No, it's 10. But I'm going to say, because Vital is under administration, I have no problem saying that this is a bit complicated. So what we have to do is figure out, like, what I need to, I'm going to go look up the birth certificate, obviously.
I have it right here. If I could sit down and have the conference room for 5 minutes, I could show you everything. Just give me 5 minutes of your time, I won't.
There's nothing we can do. We're gonna take our law department's gonna take it to the state.
Okay, no
Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I would like to go over it so we have like some better understanding.
Yep.
And then you can take it. So you can look at that copy, and I'll look at this copy. There's a Supreme Court order, S1 through S5. These are Supreme Court orders where they did a leave to change name.
Okay.
And this grants him the permission to change my daughter's name from Urbano to Mantero. It does not give him, and it says it right in there, it does not give him permission to put me on as the father. So her name can legally be changed to Urbano, but
right. It's a name change. It's not you don't change your birth. There's nothing to change the birth certificate.
Right. So then what he did is concurrently, now both of these orders say that there's no petitions in court, in any other courts, including Native American, blah, blah, blah. But concurrently, at the same time, he also did a petition in family court to change her name. Okay, so right in the same time of September and November of 2017, and both of these go on to say what a great father I am, how I've been raising her since she's 1 year old.
The respondent is not the biological father of the law. To be clear that I'm not mentioning that court that Michael Urbano respondent is biologically related to this other child, and that is her father, blood father.
No, I'm not her blood father. I'm Michael Urbano.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
She's saying that I'm not the biological father, and she just wants to change her name. But I was not involved in these parts because I thought I paid for an adoption. Right. And I'm finding out
they're not doing an adoption. They didn't do an adoption.
Correct.
Yeah, he didn't do that. He just changed.
But he did.
Okay, so this petition when? In 2017.
Yeah.
No, that is wherefore the petition is as follows. The court order support resulting from a proceeding commencement, the applicant shall be adjusted. The applicant will have to do the adjustment. I don't understand. This is the petition.
Yeah, it was a petition where he was trying to get us.
Sierra Burns is in the matter of the court knowledge judged order that is dismissed without prejudice.
They dismissed that because the Supreme Court order went through to change her name. They had both of them running concurrently. So he had a petition in the Supreme Court and Family Court to change Isabella's name to Urbano.
Okay.
And you write in there that by no means are we trying to establish that he's the father, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's the birth certificate that was produced. They put me on as the father. And he did that by using, there's the original birth certificate, but what he did is he put this Okay, this is.
To the state, not to us, because we don't do acknowledgments. It's got to go to New York State too. Okay.
So what he did is part of the adoption process. But see, here's the thing: he signed Joseph Fraschetti, and he had his paralegal sign Karen Smith, which is neither of their names.
Yeah, I get that.
So he signed his ex-law firm partner's name, and then he signed his paralegal witnessed it and signed a completely fictitious name. So, but they added me to the birth certificate, and legally, the judge says right in here that it's just to change your name, which I didn't know.
Yep. Okay,
So,
that makes sense.
And then here is the.
So what she's doing. So Social Security is like, you got to let people know that you're not. This is acknowledgement, but you should, and you don't. So what are they? Yep. Okay. So what unfortunately is going to have to happen though is if you're not the biological father. Although I guess you can change it. No, I don't think you can. Biological father. I gotta go. You have to follow up. Okay.
So now, when I was going through this, I mean, it took a year almost to go through this.
Yeah,
I mean, over
makes
a year.
sense.
So
this is great. I
said her last name is Mantero, and I was told that Mom said he's not the biological father, and he says, well, I got to contact him legally and find out, and look through court documents to make sure he's not before you can adopt her.
Right.
Of course, by all means, I would take. So I kept in contact, which I have a lot of texts, but these are just a few key point ones, where he says, I spoke with him, and he kept saying paternity was already established, and he tried to explain to him that, I tried to explain to him that it wasn't, and I wasn't going to argue with him. I said, okay, let me know. So from there, what happened is, and there's more text, we discussed it, and he said, I searched it to the courts, and paternity was not established. He's not on the birth certificate. There was no DNA test. You can illegally adopt her, is what he told me. Right here it says no father. So I said, okay, well, carry on with the adoption process. Here's some more money. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Okay, well,
what you're trying to do.
Well, there in Madison County, there was a DNA test that he is the father that this attorney was involved in. He was involved in it, so he was.
Oh wait. Okay.
So there was a biological father, and,
right.
And the attorney already knew that because he was involved in this.
Oh.
Because it was her lawyer before.
Oh.
So not only did he take this little girl's father away from her, granted he wasn't in her life and he hasn't been there for her.
Yeah.
But he just took this man's parental rights away, gave them to me, and now he's taking them away from me. Mm-hmm. Who is he to play God with my daughter?
Yeah, you have a case against this guy to sue him.
Almost definitely. I've spoken with some lawyers in New York City because no lawyers locally want to take a case like this, which I understand.
I get it. Yeah, because you get,
So,
although, who is it? Is it Ferteschi?
No, that's his ex-partner.
I was going to say, because we all know the name Ferteschi.
He signed Joseph Ferteschi's name.
And he didn't sign it right, but yeah.
He's right. He left out the I.
Yeah.
So, and you can tell that's one of the key things. And that you can tell that's his handwriting, too, because I've got other documents in here that his handwriting is very distinctive. So right here, I'm questioning this document because one of the things I questioned was the acknowledgement of paternity, because reading it says biological father. And I questioned him. I said, but it says, and there's more text, but this is just one of them. I said, it says married or biological father. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Can you please call me? And he says, it says or is an either situation we'll talk about tomorrow. And tomorrow he sold me on this whole story that everything was fine. Mm-hmm. It's just part of the adoption process to get your name on the birth certificate. There's no other form. That's what we have to use, is what he told me. Mm-hmm. Okay, which he lied right to my face.
Yeah, I gotta say, that's what I'm saying. It's interesting that. Okay.
So I was just downstairs at the fraud unit, and they said that they only investigate welfare fraud. He told me to come up here and talk to Emily Young, the director of compliance for the health department.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to report it. No, M's our compliance officer. She was over there. It's fine.
And your name is Michelle? What was
I'm the Mignano. Mignano. You can write it down.
I'm going to, so I don't forget it.
Yep.
How do you spell M?
Mignano. And I have no affiliation with, my mom's Ukrainian. What do you want me to say?
So... And there's a lot more evidence. I'm just and this right here is the petition that Mom did to vacate the acknowledgement of paternity. And in here she says that my attorney and her forced her to sign these documents.
Right.
And Judge Serio, at this hearing, ripped her apart.
Yeah.
Completely ripped her apart and said, this man's been raising this girl, and now you're trying to take her away from her. One side of her and down the other. But since then, what's happened
Julie?
Since then, what's happened is they assigned Arlene Bradshaw, who is the
the names.
and she has been up my rear end,
Yeah.
and they've been keeping Isabella from me for a year.
Yeah.
And want to know why? Because I'm not her biological father. And
Right, you don't have, so they're saying you don't have a right.
But,
Yeah.
and I said, well, we can't have it both ways. If I'm
Right.
not her biological father, then you need to acknowledge the fact that Anthony Germano did this fraudulently. I'm reporting it to the courts.
Right.
And they're failing to do that. And we just had
Yeah, because, and I know why. Because that's not... So... I believe, and so I want to take it to the law department and find out who's got what rights to, what to do with that. It's not our job to take an attorney and say you did this fraudulently. It's not like we don't believe you.
Right.
It's just that that's not what we do, like, as a government. So, like, I'm not clear what the mechanism would be. So, and so this is why I understand why Seven was like, well, it's not fraud relative to what we would report up to look into it. So I think the point you're saying is that if fraudulently put your name on this is where we're going to go, and that's where we're going to take it with the law department.
And here's the thing is, I have email, and like this is just the evidence where I can say.
Well, I'm just going to do all of this.
Right.
I'm going to go over it with attorneys and say, okay, so the biggest problem is
they just made copies down at Vital Statistics too, so I'm not sure he might be bringing it to them as well. So.
James.
Yeah. Yes, I just spoke with the manager down there.
I'm just gonna walk it down. I'm gonna walk it through with. I'm gonna have it sit down and say, what do we? And I'll let you know. What I need is your contact information. And I'm sorry, I just didn't bring.
Well, I'll give it to you. What is your title, Michelle?
Deputy Commissioner.
You're the Deputy Commissioner
Of Health. Yeah. But put it right on the back of this. Wait, what's number 1? Well, this is B2, but.
I'll write it on the back of that.
I think this is the big one. This is the one I want to start with, because this is the one that's false. In theory, like that he falsified.
Well, I mean, and here's my thing. He signed another attorney's name to it, and he had his paralegal. And here's these two.
He had his
and in here there's documents where in one of them it shows an email from his. I'm not sure which one it is. It shows an email from his paralegal, and her name is. This is where he tells me that he got the document in his right hand and the birth certificates will be there in about 6 months. They're that far behind. Here's where he calls and asks me what hospital she was in and all that stuff, which now I know why he needed that information, because he needs to go on the birth certificate. Mm-hmm. So why would he be asking me what hospital?
Yeah, what does it matter to you, right?
Well, it has to go on the birth certificate. Wendy Baker. If you notice on the acknowledgement of paternity,
it says something else.
It says Karen Smith.
Yeah.
He writes Joseph Ferteschi and leaves the I off that one. And you can see in all the other documents in the Supreme Court and Family Court that he filled out as her attorney in 2017. That's clearly his handwriting.
Who is he?
Anthony Germano.
Okay.
And this man has threatened me. He's threatened.
Anthony Germano. Okay.
Yep, and he's threatened to put me in a ditch if I don't shut my mouth about this. Well, here's the thing. He's threatened that if I went to the sheriff's, they would take my house from me. I just got a sheriff's deed taking the house out of my name. They took my house.
What?
I was in a divorce in 2022. I caught my attorney at the time, Richard Lombardo, who, and this is the kicker, told me about some of this. Mm-hmm. And he told me the reason why he lied to me in the hallway of family court, and he begged me, and I have him recorded, he begged me not to report him to the Bar Association or attorney grievance, and that he would tell me the truth. And what he told me is all this and more. And what he told me was that Anthony Germano gave him money if he would force me in the hallway to make a deal, so this didn't have to be presented before Judge Cecil. Now, we just had trial last month before Judge Cecil, and I represented myself, and I presented all this evidence and more. So what Arlene Bradshaw has been doing has been trying to make me look like a bad parent and gaslighting me and trying to get me to come out of character and trying to act how I might look on the outside as some tattooed gangster thug, which I'm most certainly not. Yeah. And they're not going to get me to come out of character.
irrespective of whatever.
So they've taken Isabella from me because stating, and now Arlene Bradshaw just tried to vacate, like I told you, the acknowledgement of paternity.
Yeah.
It's her little slick move to vacate the evidence and take my rights away as a parent. Well, they've been keeping her from me for a year, and the only reason is because she's not my biological daughter. Well, legally, you guys are saying that she is, because we're in family court fighting over custody over her and my son. So if legally she wasn't my daughter, let's talk about that. So when she served me with the vacate acknowledgement of paternity, I uploaded all this evidence into the EDDS, and she withdrew her petition. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what they were trying to do is trick me, and I'm not stupid. I'm not.
Yeah, they're trying to make it simple. Well, they're trying to make it simple, go away.
Well,
No
guess
offense to
what?
what they wanna do, they
Once we
wanna
do
go away.
that, guess what? All the other threats start to come through. They took a sheriff's deed. I fired my lawyer in 2022, and I said, can I withdraw my petition or get some time? I sent evidence of recordings of Richard Bombardo threatening me, and then confessing. I have them recorded. If you look at my Facebook, I'll write this up. Search my name, and if you do the hashtag, where's the other one I wrote on? You can hear you'll hear the, if you do hashtag Anthony Germano, and hashtag Richard Bombardo, Facebook will take you to some of the recordings, and I put some of them out there. The other ones are called discovery evidence, I'm told. So if you search those, you can hear recordings of these men threatening me. You can hear them alienate you from the courts, the judges, shut your mouth.
So I'm going to, I believe you.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds really stressful. How are you managing that? But
I am. You want to know why? Because they're not doing it to me. They're doing it for me.
Oh.
Because this is not the last time you're going to see my face, because I'm going to be an advocate for other parents that they're doing this to, because every time I put a post up on Facebook,
Someone else is coming to you.
a dozen come forward.
Oh,
So I've actually developed a little underground company, if you will, not for profit. I'm not making money, but where I'm advocating and I'm counseling people that are going through this, so they don't act out of character, because that's what they want.
Yeah.
Because once they push you so far, you flip out, then they put a label on you and they say,
Oh, of course,
this guy's
like,
crazy.
Yeah. See, this
Guess
is who he is.
Guess what? They don't know how. Guess what? They don't know. They don't know how to handle me, because I'm not. You can
Yeah,
take
you're
my
like-
house. You can take my kids. I'm still going to have.
They
the
took
same
your
marriage.
house because of the divorce?
Well, here's the thing. When I withdrew, I said I need to withdraw my petition. I need to get some time to find a new attorney. And I sent video evidence and evidence to the court where he lied, tried to get me to say we came to an agreement in family court. We didn't. Mm-hmm. He said he was going to force the family court agreement through that he lied to me in the hallway about. All recorded, so it's not my word. I have this man recorded.
Yeah.
So then he says, completely confesses to everything. But first he threatens me, and then he confesses it 2 hours after I fired him on a Sunday night, crying, begging me not to report him to the bar. Confessing everything, okay? You can't make this up. Then I send that to the Supreme Court, and I say, look, this man lied to me, threatened me, unethical and illegal. He tried to get me to sign documents in Supreme Court. He moved the Supreme Court date up. They moved the family court date up. And I said, we got divorce court tomorrow. I go, tomorrow? I go, we haven't even filled out my statement of net worth yet. I'm supposed to come to your office for 2 weeks now. He goes, don't worry about it. I go, don't worry about it. I go, I'm not stupid, Richard. Mm-hmm. So I fired him and then I sent the courts an email. Then I went to court in February of 2023, and I presented this before Judge Cooner. But here's the kicker. Anthony Germano, also recorded, tells me, Judge Cooner's a good friend of mine. Shut your mouth or you're going to lose your house. I said, that sounds like a threat, Anthony. He goes, it is. I said, well, Judge Cooner isn't my judge. He goes, he will be. Well, I was before Judge Fogel. Then they put me before Judge Cooner 2 weeks after his threat. Then when I presented this evidence again to Judge Cooner's chambers and directly to Judge Cooner in court, I was walking into the courthouse at 333 East Washington Street. There's a man standing there with a single flyer in his hand, and he hands it to me. He goes, what are you here for? He grabs him by the arm. I said, I'm here for a divorce court. He was like, oh, it's in the family court. I go, no, it's not. It's upstairs at 333 East Washington Street. He goes, we're under renovation for asbestos. You cannot make this up. Hands me a flyer, which I still have. He tried to keep it. I said, I need this because I'm going to be late to court and I want to show the judge. He goes, okay. So I took the flyer and I went to Judge Gilbert's chambers. Okay, now I've been to divorce court a few times. There's a million people there waiting. Open court. Well, I went to Judge Gilbert's chambers. Judge Gilbert just so happens to be the one who signed the name change. I'm in a lonely courtroom with Judge Cooner, Anthony Germano's friend.
Do you think they all were working together?
I don't know. I sent Judge Gilbert an email stating that Anthony Germano used his legal name change to do a fraudulent birth certificate, and I didn't hear any response back from him. So I forgot where I was, but so long story short, I've sent this to Judge Karklunas, I believe is how you pronounce it. Karklunas. I've sent this to Judge Cecil and Judge Sirio's chambers. They hate me. I'm public enemy number one. They can't stand me. And I'm just sending the truth, and I actually thanked every one of them, because I can tell you what they did, Michelle. They pushed me to over the thin line between love and hate, because they had me to the point where I wanted to snap and literally kill someone for hurting my children.
Yeah.
Especially by the same people that are supposed to be protecting my children. Okay? So I actually looked at Arlene Bradshaw's eyes, and I said, this woman lost a child. I said, I can see it in her eyes. She has the same pain in her eyes that my brother has and friends that have lost children have. And I asked another attorney, I said, did Arlene Bradshaw lose a son? And he said, yeah, she did. I know Judge Cecil, I could tell by looking in her eyes that she's had a rough childhood, that she got in this business to help kids, and that's not what's happening here. I'm not saying that it's a huge conspiracy.
Yeah.
What I think is going on is they're friends, just like the other attorneys. Everybody knows everybody. There's not a local attorney that's going to take my case, because I'm going to be in and out, and then they're going to have to. I had 3 attorneys tell me, if I take your case, these people are going to attack me. I have to deal with them every day.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, it's true. They do.
They call it a blanket effect.
Yeah.
The blanket effect.
Oh yeah.
And have them recorded threatening this.
Yeah.
So here's my thing, is I'm the whole we the people now, because I'm going to the sheriff's department, and if I'm going to end up in a ditch, the whole world's going to know why I'm there. And I promise you, if I end up dead in the ditch, it's going to be to protect children. That's what I do.
Okay, so, but I'm going to repeat. I'm going to.
That's fine.
That's yours?
You have the same one.
Okay, sorry. So what I'm going to say though is, and I got to tell you, our department might knows a lot of these same people too. So I'm just thinking about what my responsibility is to say is that we believe that the birth certificate was, we've been given evidence that the birth certificate was changed fraudulently.
Yeah, and forged.
And the acknowledgement was changed fraudulently.
Here's the thing: Anthony Germano has to be held responsible for this, because they've twice now tried to.
I don't know what the state's going to do. I'm gonna get back to you and tell you.
No, and you know what? I'm not telling you to go. Listen, there's a long story between me and Anthony Germano too. As a kid, I protected him. He was bullied, as I was bullied, and I see what I see as the fat kid on the playground. I was the fat kid on the playground, just like him. I see that in his eyes too. I know him. So I'm not here with vengeance. I don't want anybody to hang or kill anybody, but he has to be held accountable for his actions, especially because in the meantime, what he's doing to me is threatening me, and the threats are coming true. In 2022, when I fired my attorney, they went and had a whole divorce without me, and they took my house with a sheriff's deed. She's had 4 lawyers now that all working together in tandem against me, and I know for a fact she hasn't given one of them a dime. One of the other things Barbaro told me is that he was able to, I paid him, this man, $10,400 up front. He says that my ex has been, she was caught in Judge Sirio's court doing this, she's been getting court-appointed attorneys. She makes over $70,000 a year. She works for Equitable down here. She should not qualify for that. And that's another thing Judge Sirio said in open court on record. I'm finding out a lot of this stuff never was uploaded into the internal system. It was all like it never happened. But they failed to realize that they sent me these documents. I was served with some of them, and then I have them. New York State says they're not even there.
What you're gonna have to do though is, honestly though, and I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna follow up with you as well in terms of how we connect to New York State and say we have knowledge to believe that someone has done this. What is our? I'm gonna follow up with that. I'm gonna follow up with you. I'm gonna call you.
As I said, the vital statistics.
But hang on. So the notion about though, if we think that was done, they're going to say, well, then your name would be taken off of it if it was done fraudulently. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but how about the person that committed the fraud to get my name on there?
Well, I'm going to try. I'm going to ask him to follow up, and before we do anything, we're going to talk to New York State and say, listen, this is a very complicated case.
Right.
I'm going to talk to you about that.
Well, there's a whole bunch of things. I'm being threatened, and the threats are coming true from this man. Because how do you have a divorce?
Oh, I agree with
If I fire him 2022, okay, 11/20/2022, I fired him. Fast forward, I have to be out of my house in 2 weeks. I'm evicted out of my house. That the mortgage is in my name. The mortgage company says their deed was not transferred, but they transferred it through the county. They took my house from me. She was never on the mortgage. There was never a divorce. I went to court one time after I fired my attorney, and I presented all this stuff, and I told the judge I've reported this to grievance, which I was told that it's investigation, when the investigations are going.
Do you have an attorney now?
No.
Because my question. Okay.
I've
You know
talked to
what,
an attorney. I've talked to an attorney and some attorneys in New York City who are very interested in taking all of this, and I have money to give them. But my thing is, I want to do a lot of this on my own, because here's the thing: is I'm also this is school for me, because I'm going to help other people do this, because I'm going to be an advocate.
Yeah, but my only question is this. Yeah, I don't understand how they can just take your house.
Well, because they had a divorce and they didn't. Here's the kicker: one of the things I have some paper shoved in my mailbox. Order. One of the orders wasn't signed by the judge. They were trying to scare me. I'm like, you guys are like delusional. Like I would never went to court. So one of the court dates it says, and I've got emails between me and Judge Cooner's Chambers where he says Judge Cooner didn't sign a sheriff's deed, but I have a sheriff's deed with his name on it. I went to the sheriff's department. I've had those threats too. So what's happening is they had a divorce without me. One of the dates it says I appeared in court after the initial one in February of 23. I was on the phone with the FBI the whole day. I think it was like June 6th or something like that. I went back to my planner and I looked, and I was literally transferred to two different agents. I was on the phone. I emailed Judge Cooner's Chambers, and I said, I was on the phone with the federal government, the FBI, the whole day that day. How did I appear? He goes, you didn't appear that day. I go, it says appearance. I go, you guys are having court dates without me. I went to the county clerk's office, pulled all the records from the divorce. Who was representing me from 2022 to present day when they took my house away? I go to the sheriff's department. I go to the family courts. I went to New York courts. I've reported all this, and they took my house from me. I got served eviction papers from my own house.
Are you sure those are real? I can't. I'm not gonna, because I don't know. I don't have a clue. You need an attorney, man.
I know, I gotta take a ride to New York City and bring this stuff now.
You gotta go. You gotta go now.
They just keep piling up. No, I'm gonna let them take the house. It's part of the lawsuits. If they gotta take the house, they can take the house.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Then you can go back. Oh, you can see.
The sheriff's deed was not issued by Judge Cooner, but it was filed with the Onondaga County Clerk's office. That's what he told me. But if you look at the deed, this is the deed to my actual house.
Warranty deed.
Yeah. Okay.
You didn't sign it.
What? No, this is from when I bought the house originally in 2002. She was never on it. Okay, so here's the things with the sheriff's deed. I can find the actual. Okay, that's the warrant of eviction the sheriff's department gave me.
How can you get a picture from everyone else?
So what is it? Oh no, that's the. I'm trying to find the actual deed. I'm sorry, the one that. Here's one of the ones they gave me that was shoved in the mailbox. All right, it's got a sheriff's stamp on it that says 2023 of December, but the deed wasn't produced until the 5th day of January 2024. Okay, so it's got a full-size stamp, clerk stamp on it, but it's shrunk. You can tell it's a shrunken down document.
No, that's just a date stamp.
Right, but that's a lot bigger. It's this size.
It doesn't have to be, by the way, but it doesn't have
But
to.
it is, because I'll show you why. This is, where's the actual? Okay, so you see right here, they say her name is this. It says 2031. They made a mistake retyping the deed, and they also Janek Fortino. If you look at the original deed, her name is Janelle Fortino. It's not Janek. So they retyped the deed. They didn't use just a copy of the deed. They retyped it and they messed it up because they spelled her name wrong and they put 2023. So the one, or 2031, I'm sorry. So,
Holy shit.
Yeah, so the one that I was, holy shit to say the least, like the fraudulent things here are.
Oh, yes, Toby.
I don't believe the sheriff signed that, and I've been down there numerous times and they won't let me talk to them. I've contacted Internal Affairs, they haven't returned my phone calls. In the one, I might not have it here, but in the one I was served by the courts, the eviction courts, what they did is they
Between Michael Urbino by Toby.
Sorry, there's a meeting here in about 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, we'll be done.
All right, thank you
Jesus
very
Christ.
much.
So the one that
How is this legal?
it doesn't look legal, does it?
How could it be legal?
I don't know. They don't
How do you have a sheriff's deed? What the fuck is a sheriff's deed?
The sheriff's deed take the house from me and they gave it to my ex-wife.
You would have to have grounds for it.
Apparently they did in the divorce that they had without me.
What? But you would have to have a document that says that you gave the house over.
Apparently that's it. And this is
But that's not it.
This is a full-size stamp from the sheriff's department, by the way.
But they can have different ones.
Yeah, but no, but this I have a because when I complained about this,
Seller's signature. Why is his name on it?
I don't know.
What the fuck is this?
This is the stuff I got from the sheriff's department.
What is it?
But the one I got that I didn't bring with me, apparently.
To convey her real property located at 3. How would it be her real property?
Because of this, give it to her. But see, here's the thing: the taxes are still in my name. I've bought and sold houses before. If they take a house away from somebody, if you sell a house, the taxes have to go in their name. The water bill has to go in their name. Everything would stop on January 5th.
What the fuck is this?
This is an order from judge, apparently, which I've emailed the courts numerous times for original court documents that they will not give to me. They have to get them from Nancy Dyer, her attorney.
Nancy.
Dyer. She's an attorney in the Monroe building. She's one of my wife's ex-wife's attorneys. But I refuse to accept a cheap photocopy. But what they did, the copy I was served with, they crossed out and they changed it. They altered, even if this is a sheriff's document, they altered it when they served me with it. Because they changed the date from 2031 to 2021.
Okay, this is insane. I've never seen anything like this.
It's ridiculous, right?
Holy shit. Okay, I mean, this has nothing to do with unfortunately,
I know.
with this, but holy shit. I've never even heard of that.
Well, here's the thing. When you, and here's the thing. I was told to do this by the federal government. The Office of the Inspector General's Social Security Administration told me to report this.
Yeah.
I've reported it to family courts. I've reported it to grievance. I've reported it to the sheriffs. I'm doing what the federal government has told me to do. And this man has threatened me for doing that, and now he's carrying the threats out.
Well, it's fine, but then why aren't you going back to the FBI, though?
What's that?
Why aren't you going back to the FBI?
It's not like anything in the movies. They don't. I've sent. I can show you. I've sent complaints online. Excuse me.
Okay, and you know what the next thing is, though? Go to the New York guys, and you got to make this a big. You find
Yeah,
out.
well,
Go to the press. Go to the
I
press.
went to the press. I've emailed the press all this stuff.
You got to make it a little cleaner up there.
I,
Do you know what I mean?
I've said the bullet points. I don't know what else to do, but
Timeline to show what else happened.
I
and
know
let
the
someone ask you
FBI. I
back.
know the FBI is looking into it. I know for a fact because I was on the phone about 4 weeks ago when I got this stuff for them to get rid of the house. I updated agent on the phone and I submitted a tip online. I screenshotted the thing where it says submit all that and all this to the FBI. But it's not like they call you and say, "Oh, by the way, this is where we are with the investigation." It's not like the movies. They don't tell you that.
They may not do it either.
What's that?
They may not do it either.
No, they've been investigating this since 2022. The first thing I did was, because after I fired my attorney, the New York courts website,
Yeah.
well, someone hacked in there and they kept changing my phone number and my address. So one of the first things I reported to the federal government was that my account was getting hacked and that the system was hacked. And then from there, I saw in the news months later that it said FBI is investigating hacking in New York court. And this is in early 23 when shortly after I reported it. And then just in case, when all this stuff first started happening, before anybody even knew my name, I went and I removed a large sum, $40,000 from my bank. And I put it in brown paper bags and I went to other banks and I deposited it. And I did it suspiciously so because at the banks, they have to file a SARS report. So, suspicious activity report.
Yeah.
So one way or another, they were going to watch me. Because what I did is, I did that 5 or 6 times. You make $40,000 transactions a half a dozen times, 3 different banks. They're going to pop up. And I went in there and I made sure I looked like putting the gold teeth from Halloween. I did the whole bit. So at the very least, I know tracking my email, which I've been representing myself and on the courts and everything.
You're tracking that so they see you so that you know where it is. So in case anything happens, you have
Right,
documentation.
and I've also, every email I've sent to the courts and about the threats and everything, I've also been copying and I've been CC'd in the Department of Justice. So they do end up in the ditch.
Yeah.
I've made noise everywhere. So,
Yeah.
But today I spent the whole day in this building making sure that I recorded it as I was told to.
Yeah, there's this and there's fraudulent. There is fraud on this, and there's history of it. I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna call you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate your time. Thank you again. You too.